What is up, guys? This is the Wednesday Night Worlds. I had a couple customers ask if I was going to make these videos again. By couple, I mean two. So I have a lot of fun doing them. I decided why not, especially now that I have a Fly12CE front camera. This first week is only going to have the Fly6 regular rear camera, and then week 2 I did get a Fly6CE, so it has much better video quality. Keith was called out by a gap right at the very beginning, so I waited on him, and him and my little brother actually bridged back up to the group. So the big event of this first week, though, was the car that about killed our entire group. There it is. The rear view is not as good as the front. You'll see the front here in a second, but I was just glad I got both angles and the license plate of the guy. So whenever I looked over, I saw that thing coming on my left, I really thought it was going to hit Jim right here. The guy actually somewhat swerved over the double yellow, but I guess he was smart enough not to run over people. Yeah, excuse the language on that, though. So here, I was just going to show it back-to-back. So the first video, this is the Fly12CE. And a much better video quality. The sound's a little better as well. And then this is the Fly6, the standard edition. So the Fly12 is 1080p, 60 frames a second, and the Fly6 is 30 frames at 720. Look at that glare, though. This is actually Black Snakes. This was the most interesting part of the ride. Mr. Jeff up there in the orange jersey, he put in a very big effort. That hurt me hurting, but I figured since it was just him and Tom going up the road, there was, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 of us in the group, that we would be okay to catch them later on. They did have a tailwind, that kind of worried me a little bit, but I figured if we worked together, that we would catch them pretty easily at some point. Which is not how it happened. Nobody wanted to work, everyone was doing what every group ride does. They start attacking each other, trying to bridge across to them to establish a breakaway. So I was trying to get everyone to work together. You can see my shadow there. I throw my hand a couple times trying to get people to work, but nobody wants to. So I eventually get a little irritated, and I just bridge across to them by myself. But we actually end up catching them at well, we pretty much catch them at this stop sign coming up here. They get through the stop sign, a car cuts in between us, but it closed enough time that the entire group actually got to catch back on. Tom here was actually doing a very good job, but he was dying 1,000 deaths at this point. I yelled at him to hop on my wheel, and I was trying to give him a little bit of a rest there. This is a very fast road as well, so it's hard to bridge a gap here unless you're in a group. Here's where we actually caught him. It was on a slight downhill, so we made sure to power straight by him. Suckers! And make them jump on. So that's always fun. I like doing that. The next climb, this one here, this is on Stanley Lucia. It's actually, the climb itself is harder than Black Snake, but it's at the end of our ride. So everyone's already tired. Not too many people attack here unless they're feeling very froggy. So that did not happen today. Everyone was just content with sitting in and making it to the very tip top. So at this point, we're back on Killian Farm Road. This is my favorite road in all of North Carolina, probably, to ride a bike on. This is the end of our ride, so everyone, if you're at this point, sitting on, waiting for the sprint, it's very hard to attack on this road and stay away because there's only one kind of false flat. So everyone stays together and just waits for the sprint. If you hadn't broken away and have a substantial gap at this point, it's pretty hard to stay away, especially because the guys that are left tend to work together and they're not looking around at each other. Ralph was just wanting to sit on at this point as well. I didn't want to let him. And I had no idea until I watched the video that Brian had to close a gap, because right here we're probably running about 25. And those little gaps like that kill you. Then he's going to have to close another little gap. I think right here, though, I was yelling at Jeff just to go up the road, try and get a break. So here's where Brian stayed on the front for a while. He said he was hurting, so he was just going to be my lead-out man. Front view. Rear view. And he's going for glory. And Jeff put in a really good sprint as well. He actually stayed the same distance from me. I just had the gap on him. So a little uneventful first week. Dudes, now we're on to week 2. My main objective at the beginning of this ride was to keep that guy right there in the Harry Peter kit on as long as possible. I was not going to physically push him like I've done to people in the past, but I wanted to manage gaps. So whenever we started going up some of these hills and people were surging pretty bad, I would just leave a gap and then slowly close it back down. Yes, there's a turtle. So, for instance, right here, I was just, yeah, letting people go up the road a little bit, and then I would close it back down for him. Makes it much easier because he's a 230-pound dude. This was probably my favorite part of the ride. It slowed down for a second, Jeff started picking it back up, and Ralph tried talking to Austin. Would you just look at that pain face? I think he had the "I'm gonna kill you, Ralph, if you don't shut up" look. So this is to the point that I'm just not watching out for Austin anymore. He completed his goal, and he actually stayed on longer than I thought he would. Then we have Jeff. He kept surging up every hill like it was a Swift race. So I decided to just come around everybody and jump on his wheel, and maybe we could get in a breakaway together, and I could maybe get the sting out of his legs. And of course Ralph decides to sit on and try and come up the road with us. And Jeff bridges back up! And so once Jeff bridges back up, Ralph never closes the gap, so he pulled over for me to do it. Jeff was riding a lot like a mountain biker. Once he hit the power pretty hard, he couldn't sustain it, but he recovered extremely well and then could hit it again. So I think that was his only downfall, because once I caught Jeff right here, and he pulled like a maniac for a mile, got us up the road, and then as soon as he pulled off, you know, pretty much this is what happened. It flipped him because I was trying to keep the same effort that he was going. So at this point, I thought Jeff was still on my wheel, so I was pedaling pretty hard, and then I was by myself, and I was by myself some more. Stayed by myself for about half the ride, not intended. They did start catching me, but this Volvo did an excellent job of blocking the road so they couldn't catch me right there. I know he had some cuss words for that guy. Once they caught me, everyone had been riding pretty hard. It's the second week as well, so nobody really wanted to go up the road at that point, so we all stayed together until the sprint. Brian let out for 1.5 miles again. I actually was going to try and lead him out to repay the favor, but he was having none of that. I'll fire you go. And these sprints, there's a little rise right before it, so we don't have a huge lead into it. But I think we hit usually around 35. So yeah, guys, that is about it for today. That was the Wednesday Night Worlds, guys. So if you want to come out, join us. It's a lot of fun. It is not a race. It is a group ride. We just have a sign that we sprint for at the end. We don't run stop signs. We don't run red lights. There's none of that crap. It's just good, fun, free to ride. I did have a couple customers ask if I was going to make these videos again. I wasn't kidding when I said couple by 2. But I had a lot of fun doing it. I figured why not. So if you guys like them, you know, I'll probably do them in 2s like I did this one. So in, you know, another week or 2, I'll have tonight's up. Yeah, so that is about it for today, guys. I will catch you later.
If not my favorite, one of my favorites. You guys are awesome.
Thanks.
It's competitive and fun, but no one's rude or anything like that.
Yeah.
Always welcoming me. So.
Well, the regulars are typically not rude. We've had a couple people.
So this is a good time tonight with no excessive. Totally enjoyable.
And now it's time for beer.